Today, we're diving into cultural bias, a powerful yet often unnoticed force that influences how we see and interact with others. Inspired by Barry Schwartz's studies on choice and decision-making, we'll explore how cultural expectations shape our interactions and decisions, often without our awareness. The good news? By understanding these biases, we can bridge divides and create stronger, more empathetic connections. What is cultural bias? Barry Schwartz's research on the paradox of choice shows us that more options don't always equal more freedom. They often create stress. Similarly, cultural bias works like an invisible hand, shaping our perceptions and narrowing our choices in ways we might not realize. For example, what seems like normal behavior in one culture might feel entirely foreign in another. Recognizing these differences is the first step toward understanding. The science behind bias, a study example. Inspired by Schwartz's principles, let's look at the Implicit Association Test by Harvard, which reveals how biases, cultural, racial, or gendered, operate beneath our conscious awareness. Nearly everyone has implicit biases, but the key is recognizing their influence. Schwartz teaches us that awareness is the first step toward reclaiming agency in our choices and interactions. How cultural bias affects us daily in communication. Barry Schwartz might say that cultural biases frame our choices in conversations. For instance, direct communicators might clash with indirect communicators, misinterpreting politeness as dishonesty or bluntness as rudeness. In the workplace, Schwartz's ideas on limited freedom resonate here. Cultural expectations can make some voices louder while others remain unheard. A silent team member might be dismissed as unengaged when they're simply adhering to a cultural norm of listening before speaking. In social interactions, even in casual settings, biases shape our responses. For example, declining food multiple times might signal politeness in one culture, but seem indifferent in another. Understanding these subtleties creates room for empathy. Practical ways to build cultural sensitivity. Identify your biases, use tools like the IAT, or reflect on your own interactions to spot biases. Educate yourself. Read works like Barry Schwartz's The Paradox of Choice to understand how culture shapes decision-making. Ask before assuming. Questions like, "Can you tell me more about that?" open doors to understanding. Seek diverse perspectives. Engage with people from varied backgrounds. Exposure builds empathy. Pause and reflect. Before reacting, consider how cultural norms may influence your perception. Freedom is about awareness of choices, biases, and influences. Cultural bias is no different. Next time you find yourself in a challenging interaction, pause and ask, how might cultural bias be shaping this moment? TED.doodles. Doodles of content you already love. Subscribe.